Hello, everyone, and welcome to In 15 with Rinchin, a show where top experts share their most practical advice in 15 minutes. My name is Rinchin, and I'm going to be your host. Our guest for today is Ramya Shastri. Ramya is an enterprise agile coach and is also the co host of the podcast ACRT, the Agile Coaching Roundtable. Ramya's insights on LinkedIn are worth reading, especially around agile coaching. So, without further ado, let's get started. Thank you, Ramya, for joining in 15 with Rinchin. Today, Ramya will be talking about working agreements that you should use as an agile coach between business and with the teams to ensure smooth running of your project. So, Ramya, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Rinchin, for this opportunity. I'm really happy joining you in your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramya. So tell me what happened. You were talking about certain working agreements that you did not lay previously, which led to this experience, and you want
Correct.
to talk about how best to do it for other people. So let's get to
Yes.
that.
Yes, sure. So, today what I'm going to talk about is not the working agreement between the team members or for the team members that I think still most of the agile coaches or the scrum master they are mindful about. But what I'm talking about is the working agreements between you as an agile coach or a scrum master and the management. So basically, what happens is whenever you get into new assignment, you call it as a project or a program or a product development or any space wherein you're going there and coaching teams, right? So when I had started my journey as an agile coach, I clearly there was no, I mean, no guidance for me as such as in this is the way that we should be doing or this is what you should be doing, right? So I just figured out on my job. So my first assignment, I did not have my working agreements with my management. So what happened was, I was responsible for coaching 5 teams, and we had everything the plan laid or the roadmap laid or whatever we may want to call initial kind of a plan.
Okay.
And by so we thought maybe by end of 2 months we will revisit on how we are doing or how teams are performing and all those things. So obviously we had like timely checks in between, but then we wanted to revisit at the end of 2 months and measure whether we were doing right or not. And by the end of the second month, I was asked about teams. There were questions raised by the management about the other two teams, which I was not handling. So that
Okay.
took me by surprise. So I said, but then I was responsible for coaching only 5 teams, right? These are the five
Yeah.
teams that I was coaching on. And initially, that was the agreement, or maybe that was the discussion that we had. But then management was somehow very reluctant, and they were like, no, but then you are agile coach, right? So you need to take care of all the teams under this project and all those things. So
Yes.
that is when I thought, I was in a soup and I could not get out of this situation. So they were like, no, but then there is no improvement. So they were not realizing that the teams that actually improved, the other 5 teams that improved, there was no discussion at all about those teams, but there were questions raised on the other two teams which I'd never posed them. So that is
Yeah.
when I like burnt my fingers, and I actually learned it a hard way. That is when I realized the importance of having the working agreements or maybe the coaching agreements.
Yeah.
So from the next assignment onwards, I was very sure that I don't want to commit this mistake again. So whenever I get into any coaching program or any project, right? So this is the first thing I have it for myself, just to be
Yeah.
sure that everyone is on the same page. I have these working agreements for myself, and I ensure that we discuss this before I get onboarded into that new program or a project. So what I do
Yeah.
is, whenever new assignment is being given, so I ask all the details whatever I need, and at the same time I ask them which are the teams, or what am I supposed to do, what are your challenges, at a high level if you can share, and all those things. And then I just summarize it as a discussion depending upon the nature of the stakeholders I deal with. When I say stakeholders, management as well, right? So if
Yeah.
people are very understandable, or maybe if they are very open for feedback or anything like that, then we have a verbal communication saying that, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what it is going to be covered. But if I feel that people are a bit specific or particular, right, then I maybe put it as a alignment over an email saying that this is what we
Yeah.
had discussed, and these are the teams that I'm going to take care of, and these are the problems at a initial level that you had pointed out. And we will also understand the nature of work and nature of the teams and all those things in the course of the coaching. But
Yeah.
initially these are the things that we are going to agree upon. So this has
Hmm.
helped me a lot going forward, and I don't face such problems now, as in what about the other team, or this for an example, in the very same project that I was talking about, they were also talking expecting me about expecting me to take care of the deliverables. So
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, that is not my job. I'll empower team to take care of their own deliverables, right? So in
Yeah.
an agile setup, we don't have a project manager, a kind of, or an agile coach who would be taking care of the deliverables. So that
Yeah.
also taught me that what is your scope of work. So that can
Yes.
also come into your working agreements. So these are the things that I learned in a hard way, and I would suggest, or maybe give it as a tip for any uh, new agile coach or a scrum master.
Yeah. That's a wonderful tip, Ramya. I think I've been in situations like that myself as an agile coach, where the expectations are very different from what is to be delivered, and if you don't align it right away, there can be concerns around what was the actual performance measurement, or how do they define the success of you being an agile coach.
Correct.
Uh, but tell me one thing, if you were to choose top three things that should be included in a working agreement, according to you, what would those three things be?
Yeah. So two things I already spoke about. One is teams, that which are the teams that I'm
Yeah,
going to work on. Second thing is the scope of work. That in
yeah,
this thing, so what would be my scope of work? For an example, what am I going to work
yes,
on? And also explicitly mention what I'm not going to work on. So in scope and out of scope things are something that I would definitely recommend anyone uh, including in their working
yeah.
agreements.
I think it's important to understand these out of scope items, right? And to list them out
Correct.
very explicitly. That's a very good tip. Sometimes I need to keep that in mind a little more because as agile coaches, we tend to take different stances, and sometimes we tend to get into a certain stance a little more. And it's very important
Correct.
for us to step back because you can be very passionate about the things that you do. And in that flow, you can get into the things where you should not be involved because eventually, in a long run, it can impact the teams not in a best way.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And also, it's just similar to the thing we have, like to do and not to do list, right? So
Yeah,
it's like, just an example. If you're on to maybe a weight loss journey, just an example, and we know that
yeah,
what are the things that we want to do as a part of our weight loss journey. So we know that we need to do, say, exercises, or maybe do cardio, and maybe we want to do CrossFit or anything like that. But at the same time you do that, but at the same time you also eat junk food, right? So
yeah,
that is not going to help you, right? So it's similar to that. So while you understand what is your scope of work, you should also understand what is not your scope of work. So that will help
yeah.
you balance the things or put it out explicitly.
Absolutely. And that's a great analogy for all of us. Thank you so much, Ramya. I think this tip was amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I think it will be very helpful, especially for the agile coaches who have just started their journeys or the scrum masters who are acting as coaches for their teams to understand the expectations and make sure they
Correct.
clearly lay it out with the management. So thank you so much for your time, Ramya. I appreciate it and such a wonderful tip. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rinchin, for this opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.